Hello, and welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. We'll continue now with our coverage of the deadly parade crash trial. Again, Darrell Brooks is on trial for 6 counts of murder and 70 other counts for injuring many, many more people. The state has started their case today. On the stand right now is their second witness. Her name is Corey Runkle. She was a friend of the defendant's ex, Erica Patterson. If you remember, this whole thing started with a conflict between the defendant and Erica Patterson. She talks about Erica calling her that day and telling her that the defendant was hitting on her and she was in trouble. They finally find where she is, and she says that the defendant at the time said that he was going to find her and kill her. That's Erica Patterson. So that's what she's testifying to here. So let's get back into the court.
Overruled. Exhibit 5 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Were you with Erica Patterson the day before the parade, so November 20th?
Yes.
Did she have a swollen left eye on November 20th?
No.
I want to go back to the issue of police and whether or not you had contact with them. Can you describe in a little bit more detail what exactly happened with law enforcement after the defendant left the scene that we just watched?
I'm not sure where we walked, but I think we walked straight down to the parade. I'm not sure, but we stopped at these stoppers where there was this I don't know what he's called. It's not a cop, but he was like a guard, and he ended up we ended up telling him that what happened, that Erica almost got ran over. I had to pull her away from the car, and he ended up calling the cops. He told us, hold on, let me call the cops, and a cop came, and we started talking to him.
Okay, but you don't, or do you remember the name of the officer that you spoke with?
I do not.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for this witness.
All right, Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
I sure do. So, my first question would be, you seem to be unclear about when you met Erica. Would you say it was roughly October or November because you wasn't sure which one?
Roughly in between.
Roughly in between.
Yeah. I know it was before Christmas.
Do you, well, you just said that you had never seen her quote-unquote boyfriend or whoever she was referring to as that before the Christmas parade, is that correct?
The Christmas parade was November, right?
He's asking you if you had seen...
Not before, but the Christmas parade was November. I'm just asking, right? Okay, so no.
Did she... Do you want her to restate her answer? She answered... she confirmed your question.
I wanted to be direct.
Okay, no, I have not.
So you just testified that you can identify who was driving the said vehicle as soon as you saw the video played. If you've never seen the driver before that day, how would you even know who it was?
I'll object. That is not a clear question. This is just going to confuse the witness. It's confused me.
Also state it, Mr. Brooks, rephrase the question, please.
Would you play the video again, the first 10 seconds? I'm guessing that it was.
Be Exhibit 3.
Exhibit 3? You want us to put, you want the first 10 seconds of exhibit played?
Show the witness the first couple of seconds of the...
All right, it's up.
Now, you just said, you just testified.
Hold on, it's playing. You want it to stop now?
Stop.
Okay,
You
Play the
just,
first 13 seconds for the witness.
thank you.
you just testified that as soon as you saw the vehicle come into the camera view, you said, "Oh, there's his car." How would you know whose car it was if you've never seen this person before that day?
Do you understand the question?
Yeah.
Go ahead and answer.
Because I was told that she was going to meet up with Darrell Brooks.
So you were told this directly from Erica.
Yes.
Did at any time she ever tell you what kind of car he had and what kind of car he would be meeting up with her with, quote unquote?
No.
So how can you identify that it was the said person's car if you had no knowledge of what vehicle this said person would be driving, or who the person even was, or what the person even looked like? How would you know?
Because I was told it was Darrell Brooks.
And so you were told that it was this name, but you were able to identify the vehicle and the person on the first day that you ever saw them.
Objection.
Is that-
asked and answered.
Let him finish his question.
Again, as soon as the car came into camera view, you immediately said on the record just a few minutes ago, "Oh, there's his car." Who is him? Who is his? Who were you referring to?
Darrell Brooks.
And you would be able to know that that was quote unquote Darrell Brooks just by seeing the car come into the view of the camera?
Now I'll object based on an asked and answered question.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, are you trying to ask her whether at the moment in time she first saw the SUV, did she know who was driving? That would be a relevant question.
Did you know who was driving the SUV that you saw when you saw it?
Not in court, but when you first saw it on that date.
Yes, because I don't see why Erica would be talking to anybody else and getting yelled at by
Well, hold
somebody
on,
else.
ma'am. But did you know at that moment who was driving the car?
Yes.
And how would you know that? You just said that you had no knowledge of the vehicle that whoever Erica was meeting up with would be driving. So how would you know that?
Objection, asked and answered, and argumentative.
Yeah. Her answer previously, Mr. Brooks, was she's basing that on what someone told her, not based on what she saw at that point. That's at least how I took it.
So Erica told you the vehicle and how the vehicle would look?
Do you understand the question?
Say that again.
Mr. Brooks?
Erica, I'm sorry,
Restate the
Your Honor.
question.
We're going to hit the pause button right there. You're not going to miss a thing. When we come back, we'll take you right back into the courtroom. Keep it here on your front row seat for justice.
Today.
Hello and welcome back to Court TV. I'm Michael Ayala. We're going to continue now with our coverage of the deadly parade crash trial. When we left, the defendant, Darrell Brooks, who is representing himself, was cross-examining state's witness number 2. Her name was Corey Runkle. She was a friend of the defendant's ex-girlfriend. They saw each other on the day of that deadly parade crash, and there was an issue between, actually the whole thing started with an issue between Erica Patterson, who was the ex-girlfriend, and the defendant. So she was there for that. And he's questioning her about just what she saw that day. And when we left off, she was going back and forth with him about how she knew who he was. So we're going to pick it up right there. Let's get back into the court.
So let's back up a little bit. Erica told you that she was meeting up with this Darrell Brooks, correct? That's what you said, right?
Correct.
And did she at any time tell you what vehicle this person would be driving and how the vehicle looked?
She did not.
So, the first time you saw the vehicle, did you know who was driving the vehicle?
Yes, when she told me. When she told me.
What he's asking you though is, did you know based on personal observation,
Oh,
not
no,
based
not
on what
personal
someone
observation. Wait. So personal observation. Oh no, never mind. Okay, yeah.
So let's just make sure the record's clear what your answer is.
It's based on what I was told when I met up with her.
So it was told.
That's been established. It's been established what was told. So next question.
No, I was going to a different question. I didn't get to it.
All right, well then ask it, please.
I'm trying to. So you were told after the vehicle drove away and you and Erica were alone? Is that when you were told?
Yes.
So it would be fair to say that before you were told this, after the vehicle drove away, you did not know who was driving the vehicle, correct? Would that be fair to say?
Oh, I had a suspicion it was Darrell.
You had a suspicion, or did you know?
Had a suspicion until I asked
So you
her.
didn't know.
Objection. Argumentative.
Yeah, so we've kind of been a little bit circular here. So the objection is sustained. I think we need to be clear, Mr. Brooks, when you ask your questions about what point in time. It's one thing to talk about when she first sees the vehicle because there's been no contact between her and the vehicle, but it's a different point in time when it's later. So you need to make clear at what point in time you're referring to so that your question is clear.
Gotcha. You identified the alleged defendant in court. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And the alleged defendant that you identified was the same person that you saw driving the vehicle that day.
Yes.
The video also shows that, well, let me back up. Matter of fact, let me ask a different question. You made reference to hanging out with Erica in the park, correct?
Yes.
With maybe one other person
Yeah.
present?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hanging out, what were you guys actually doing?
Drinking?
So, would it be fair to say that because of alcohol being involved, that there may have been a misinterpretation of what you saw?
No.
What you thought you saw?
Objection calls for speculation.
The question, the way it's asked, calls for speculation. If you could please rephrase it.
I'll ask it different. How much were you drinking? Was it a few beers, a bottle?
Half
Some
a
to that
pint.
effect? Half a pint. Do you remember what you were drinking?
Vodka.
Do you remember if Erica was drinking?
She was.
And you said that you separated at one point to go hang with another person. I can't remember the name, but would that be fair to say that you separated from Erica to go hang out with another person?
I did say that.
Was that person also drinking that day?
No.
Did that person overhear any conversation between you and Erica?
No.
Would that be the same person that was saw in the video?
Yes.
So that would be Nick. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And is it true that you did give a statement about what you saw and heard that day?
Yes.
Fair to say? Would it be fair to say that in this statement that you gave, you never mentioned the person that you saw driving make any threats? Would that be fair to say?
I never mentioned.
Well, I have the statement right here in front of me. Would it be fair to say that the statement that you gave that day, that you did not say in your statement that you heard any threats being made or yelled towards Erica? Would that be fair to say?
Possibly.
So do you remember giving a statement?
I remember giving a statement.
Do you remember what you said in your statement?
I do.
So I'm gonna ask you again because I just asked. I have your statement in front of me. You did not mention any threats being yelled or made towards Erica. Would that be fair to say?
I did mention some.
What exactly did you mention?
That you were yelling at her, saying that you were gonna kill her and to get in the car.
And that's in your statement.
Yes.
Would you like me to read your statement to you?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll object based on the procedure that the defendant is employing at this point.
Sure. Mr. Brooks, there is a procedure. I can have the state bring up her statement, I hope, electronically to show her. It would, and then,
fine, Your Honor.
all right.
Bring it up for her to see.
You'll want to direct her to what part. You can ask her to review it, ask her if that refreshes her recollection, and then you can ask her a question. Or even show her that and ask a direct question about it would be another way.
Okay, this is not it right now.
No, they'll get it up. It just takes a moment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's So are we sure we can't get the front? Because we tested that twice yesterday and this morning, and it should have worked. We sure we can't get the front table?
We can try.
I have it selected right now, and I see a black box, so no.
They have to connect it though. You can stand if you want for a minute. Do you need a water or anything?
No.
George, want to stand for a second? Go ahead too.
All right, so the defendant is trying to what they call impeach this witness. Fairly, I don't want to say sophisticated, but he's not doing a terrible job here. I guess he's saying that what she told police was different, that apparently she didn't tell police about the threat. So he wanted to bring that out to the court, I guess to mess with her credibility. But anyway, let me bring in my guest. Still with me, celebrity divorce attorney Carlos Lastra and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno. And Carlos, I'll start with you. As I said, I mean, this is not a sophisticated thing, but he's not doing a terrible job. He's essentially trying to impeach what she's saying on the stand with statements that she gave to the police.
Absolutely. And again, echoing what I said earlier, he is obviously proving that he's competent. Certainly what he's proven today, although he's done it a little clumsily, is that he's prepared. He actually knows his case. He may not necessarily know how to execute, but he understands what the topics are for purposes of cross-examination, and he's getting into them. And quite surprisingly, given the stark difference from what you saw in the way he was dealing with the judge earlier today.
David, you know, he's basically trying to impeach her, and that goes to credibility to what he's saying. But he also seemed like part of his question was the identification aspect. I don't think identification is a major issue here, but do you think what do you think about what he's trying to do here?
Yeah, I agree. You know, as a layperson, you may think that any little inconsistency may be relevant. And when you're dealing with a case like this, where every single piece is on video with his car, and it's not an issue, right? So if you're an experienced attorney, you know where the fights are and where to go on cross-examination. And that's not just one of them. And then on the execution of this, he's in a different room. And any lawyer that is in that room would be able to mark that statement for identification and say, look, you gave the statement. Now you said something right here and you're saying that it's in there. Well, let me show it to you. And then come up and give her an opportunity. Look at it. It's not there. Show me where it is. And he just can't execute it. In part, he doesn't know how to. He's also in another room, and it takes away from the thunder. And it's just another reason why you need lawyers here, not representing yourself.
Yeah, and Carlos, you know, that basically the judge made clear on the record why she's doing what she's doing, why he's in the other room. He was given multiple opportunities to say that he would conduct himself appropriately to the decorum of the court. He refused to say that, so that's why he's in the other room. But there are a number of things here which, when you talk about justice, a lot of what you're talking about is the appearance of justice as well. People are watching this trial. This is being aired. I'm sure that community is tuned in. And you got a guy who's dealing with a jury who basically was chosen by a tumbler. You got a guy he's not in street clothes. He's shackled at the feet. They can't necessarily see that. He's in another room. He only really had a few days to prepare, so any preparation at all, I think he should be commended for. Do you have an issue with the appearance of propriety in this case, or the appearance of justice?
Not so far, only because the judge, frankly, think about this. It took her 7 hours to get to opening statements. She did backflips and somersaults to give this defendant every single opportunity to make sure that he was heard. She gave him multiple opportunities to participate in the proceedings in a suit. And frankly, I think that was a critical mistake. When I first saw him in a suit, and I said, wow, he cleaned up great. This is gonna be, he does not look like the guy who did this heinous act. So that was terrific, but he gave up that advantage. It was form over substance. And frankly, I think undermined himself. He's his own worst enemy, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we know, he has a fool for a client, right? He's his own client. He's definitely a fool. And I agree with you 100%. And I think it's all part of his mishmash ideas in his head about what he wants to accomplish here. I think by leaving the prison garb on, he thinks he's creating issues that he can do on appeal, or creating issues to make things more difficult. But at the end of the day, he's just hurting himself. Like you said, he's his own worst enemy. All right, guys, stand by. We do have to take a quick break. When we come back, looks like they're getting going again in the courtroom, so we'll get you back in there. So keep it right here on Court TV. Hello and welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. We're going to continue now with our coverage of the deadly parade crash trial. Now, when we left off, the defendant, Darrell Brooks, who is representing himself, was trying to impeach a witness called by the state. Her name was Corey Runkle. Now, she was a friend of the ex-girlfriend, Erica Patterson, of the defendant. She apparently witnessed a fight between the two of them. This is the fight that took place right before he went and did what the state alleges he did, which is drive through a parade on Main Street. And so what's happening now is he's looking at her statement, having her look at it as well, so he can use that to try and impeach her as the statements that she made in court. So let's go back into the court. Right, so once they got that statement that she originally wrote to police up, he's looking at it now apparently on that screen. And right now they're waiting, everyone's standing, they're waiting for the jury to come in and be seated. Once they are seated, of course, the questioning will continue. Again, this is the cross-examination of state's witness number 2, Corey Runkle.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. All right. Mr. Brooks, when you're ready, please continue with your cross-exam.
Okay. I'm gonna give everybody time to settle back in for a few seconds.
Okay.
So, Miss, is it Runkle?
It is.
You stated earlier that when you were hanging out with Erica at the park that you were drinking, right?
I did.
And you also stated that you guys separated and you went to go hang out with someone else.
With Nick, yes.
With Nick. You did state that Nick wasn't drinking, right?
Yes.
So I want to ask, earlier when I asked, I think you were asked by Attorney Whitchild if you heard any yelling or anything being yelled at Erica, or I'll forget how you phrased the question, but did you hear any yelling or anything directed towards you guys? And do you remember what you said?
I heard that you were yelling at Erica, telling her to get in the car, and that you were gonna kill her. That was that you were gonna kill her was after the fact that you headed out, but that's probably not what you're asking. The fact of you were yelling at her, telling her to get in the car, was the time when you were around. Brooks was around.
Brooks or you? You said you, and then you said Brooks. But you did state that you had never seen Brooks before November 21st of 2021. Would that be fair to say?
Right.
And you also did say that you had only heard of him through Erica, correct?
Right.
At any time, did you ever observe any phone conversations or interactions between Erica and Brooks?
Am I allowed to answer that?
He's just asking you whether you have, not the content of any of those.
I have.